That's the fastest $1 million job I've ever seen. You only need to catch one of these tuna a day, easily reaping tens of thousands of dollars. This is the best season for tuna fishing. If you're lucky, it doesn't matter how many you catch in a day. Do you want to do this kind of work? At dawn that day, Jack just set out to go fishing. The cause of the rising tide. The boat almost touched it as it went through the gate. Others leave before dawn. They waited until noon to go out, all the way to the fishing spot. Their fishing boats are minimal. White whoring tuna at the lowest possible cost. We see Dave and Paul up ahead. Dave's got a problem with his boat. Paul is towing their boat back to port. Today's fish didn't even start fishing before there was a problem. This is definitely a big loss. Good thing Paul was around last night, or we'll have to cut wood at sea to survive. Fortunately, the glitch was minor. Simply replace a part. They immediately went out fishing. I really need Paul's help. Otter and his men have been at sea for hours. They went back to Maine to fish. It's a long way from the port, but they've caught a lot of fish here. It's kind of their lucky place. Tyler and his crew are in this position. The competition here is minimal. The fish caught are very fat. Jack and the boys have arrived at the electric fish spot. Today is the latest day. Let's get the mackerel bait down. The weather is very nice today. Paul and Dave, they're around too. Suddenly, a tuna appeared nearby. The fishing rod was quickly pulled. The line was torn quite badly by the bite. People in the neighborhood have noticed. Jack is steering the fishing boat. Near the boat anchor line, winding engine. Jack can't adjust the ship's direction. Only the anchor line can be cut off. It's a good thing the boat didn't go all over the place. The line was pulled very hard. After a lot of pulling, the tuna finally surfaced. The harpoon dissolves in the hands of his teammates at 10 kilometers per second. A direct hit on this tuna. Jack's team was the last to go to sea. The first team to catch a tuna. This is really good to fly. After pulling the fish onto the fishing boat, it's 105 inches long. Hurry back to port and sell your fish. Dave's back in port because of hull trouble. It took a lot of time, but he still has a lot of faith in today. Paul and the others are also nervously preparing the bait. Detector beep. A tuna appeared nearby. Soon the line began to be yanked. They were instantly excited. Paul's side was the first to notice. Dave's luck is really good. They found themselves in the same situation as Jack. The line was pulled to a nearby marker. It's easy to cut the line in this situation, because to lose a tuna from a marker is a terrible loss. His teammates slowly pulled on the line. As the tuna pulls closer to the boat, a teammate would harpoon it. This tuna looks very big. Looks like a big one. Just a few hours. They harvested a single tuna. Dave told Paul the good news. Tuna cools in tow when they pull the fish into the boat. This fish is 106 inches long. It's a big fish, but look at the slender body. This fish shouldn't be fat. The price of tuna is all about fat. Jack and his crew are the first fish sellers of the day. This is the 6th fish they've caught, after cutting off the head and tail, and 477 pounds. This fish should be fat. The fish looks very colored. There's also a lot of subcutaneous fat. I really thought it would be expensive. The buyer offered only $15 a pound. The fish only made $7,155. The buyer is really dirty. Next up is Dave's tuna. It's the same buyer. Jack and Dave's fish are both 106 inches long. Dave, this fish weighs 437 pounds. It weighs 10 pounds less than Jack's. Now that's interesting. Again, only a little fat. But Dave can get $16 a pound for this fish. The final haul was $6,992. Well, obviously it's about watching people eat. Cook and his men have waited a long time at sea. They always wanted to catch a fat tuna. Cook bought the fishing boat with all his money. Just fishing for tuna for money. It's been a few weeks since the start of the fishing season. He hasn't made his money back yet. Fishing with all your money. If I don't get my money back this season, I'm going to eat dirt for the new year. Soon there was a sound from the probe. A tuna comes here. Team, get ready for bait. Soon the tuna is on the hook. Every catch is a challenge for the angler. It's usually the tuna that loses. when the fish is brought to the surface. They take a harpoon and stab the tuna. There was an accident when there wasn't one. The tuna is unhooked, but the harpoon is still on the tuna. Now we have to find another way to catch the fish. Cook slowly pulled the harpoon up, but soon the fish starts swimming away again. They've lost the tuna for good. You could lose the fish. That's a hell of a mess. OTT and his crew have been fishing in northern Maine 7 or 8 hours a day. I came here, and now there are no fish. What they have gained is not a lot. You get anxious when you can't catch a fish. The tailors are constantly changing the bait. They are also waiting for the tuna to arrive. Soon the detector began to beep. A fish appeared nearby. OTT also picked it up. They were very close together. The biggest rivalry between the two teams. Soon the rod began to be pulled. It's on OTT's team. Just when Tyler began to despair. His fishing rod is starting to pull too. There are 2 fish in this spot. If I read you correctly, it's 2 tuna on OTT's side at the same time. Is this the smoke from the ancestral grave? 2 fish at once is the first time I've seen them. Taylor and her sister were hauling in at the same time. If I can catch them all, then they're definitely the biggest winners of the season. Suddenly, Taylor took a pair of scissors and cut the line. I sometimes have a hard time understanding the behavior of the contestants. OTT's got a lot of string on his end, too. They have more men on their side. As long as the tuna doesn't go crazy, I can almost catch it. The fishing line was pulled very tight. Decoupling is a possibility at any time. Fortunately, they soon pulled the fish out and controlled the fish with ease. The tail of this fish looks very strong here. It should be a big fish. OTT, they shouted excitedly. And Tyler's still working on it. They've seen OTT catch tuna. Sister keeps tightening the line. After OTT pulls the fish out, up to 104 inches long. Now it's up to Tyler to catch his luck. When my sister pulled the fish up, Taylor immediately took the harpoon and attacked. Now, we need to tie the tail off as soon as possible, or you lose the big fish like Cook did. Taylor quickly pulled the fish out. The body looks very round. Too late to be happy to sail back to sell fish. The fish was less than 100 inches in length. Depends on whether the fish is fat or not. The fish they catch are always fat, so he still has a lot of faith in this one. OTT, it's dark when they get back. It took a day though, but this moment is happy. The fish weighed 438 pounds. Fish fat is even better. The buyer's first sentence was that the fish didn't have much fat. No matter how beautiful the color is, it's a lie. Not much fat and not much price. The buyer offered $19 a pound. They collected $8,322. That's a pretty good price. It's past 4 o'clock in the morning. Marcia, they're still at sea. Today is Jay's birthday. He was very much looking forward to some good luck today. Now they're headed to Maine. Tyler and OTT's fishing spot. Fish caught far away are fatter. They waited until dawn. The detector beeped. Tuna is finally here for breakfast. You don't even have to think about it. They were instantly excited. Marcia is steering the ship. Jay and his son do the fishing. It's nice to hear the sound of the line pulling. It can really get you excited. This fish swims very far. A marker appears nearby. Make them very worried. This marker is likely to cut the fishing line. Clear the obstruction out of the water quickly. It's risky until the fish are caught. Too strong winding will break the wire. Tuna is scurrying all over the water. Once it reaches the surface, it dies. Marcia threw it away. The tuna just freaked out. Hurry up and tie the band with a rope. You catch a fish and you feel like a hunk again. This side of the girl group is always about watching people fish. When the fish are pulled into the boat, this head is really big. Get out your childhood photos and take a group photo. Today is another day of victory. Tyler got home too late last night, so I waited until today to sell the fish. Marcia, they sell fish in the harbor. It just depends on who has the higher price. Taylor's fish was only 406 pounds, and Marcia's fish weighed 538 pounds. That's over 100 pounds more. This is indeed enviable. Taylor always gets a high price for his catch. But the core of the fish today is not good. The buyer offered only $13 a pound. This is probably the lowest price ever. They collected just over $5,000. Tyler's obviously not too happy about it. It's a different story here in Marcia. This fish looks very fat. The core of the fish is almost perfect, but the buyer offered only $17 per unit. The fish earned $9,146. I think his price is too low. Jay can finally go home and have a nice birthday. Cook and his men are still at sea waiting for their chance. They must constantly check for bait underwater to prevent other fish from eating them. They missed a tuna yesterday. Cook was constantly worried about whether he would be able to pay back the loan. He has already missed 2 tuna this season. I lost at least $10,000. Today, luck is once again in their favor. The probe spotted a tuna coming here. Soon there was movement in their rods. Here comes the exciting time again. The tuna is not far ahead. Teammates with harpoons waiting for opportunity. Put the harpoon in the back. The tuna is going crazy again. This scene is very familiar with yesterday. They could lose this tuna any minute. Fortunately, the fish didn't put up much of a fight today. After they tied the rope around the fish's tail, I dare to be happy. However, this joy is not lost and won back. But what was lost yesterday is being made up today. This fish is not very big, but it looks fat. It's only 88 inches long. As long as it's fat, it costs as much. They return to the port to sell fish. Familiar steps and recipes. This fish weighs only 272 pounds. This weight is a small fish. This little fish is usually liked by many restaurants. The fish core is good, cooked, and they do a good job with ice. Fish subcutaneous fat is also good. The buyer offered $20 a pound. They collected $5,440. The price is a consolation. One daytime passed. Paul was waiting at sea just after 5 in the morning. They haven't caught any fish for days on end. It's not quite light yet. Leaving early is a matter of luck. Always hearing about people fishing. Get nothing for oneself. Sometimes I really wonder if I can't do it. Paul helped Dave tug the boat the day before yesterday. He thought he was missing his best fishing time. See, sometimes it's really hard to ask for help when things aren't going well for others. You're going to blame yourself for everything that's going wrong. Dave and his men were waiting nearby. They have a current partnership with Paul. Both are jointly maintaining an area for fishing. Soon there was a sound from the fishing boat detector on Paul's side. It wasn't long before the rod was pulled. Look at them scrambling around like clowns. Paul adjusted the boat in time to fit in with his crew. The line was pulled pretty hard. The bite just started. You have to wait for the fish to burn off. Dave also observed Paul getting into the fish. Anyway, now I am very envious. This fish should be pretty big. The line was pulled for a long time. They guessed that it was a very big fish. I'm going to make a lot of money today. The line was dragged for 2 hours. Dave's been keeping a close eye on it. 2 hours. Teammates finally began to reel in the line. Paul took in the line as he steered the boat. You see a fish, you spear it. Soon the fish swam out again. The fish caught these last few days have been pretty strong. No hard pull after that. Waiting for the fish to bleed to death. When you pull the fish back, Paul takes out his harpoon again. This time, they managed to get the fish under control. The fish caught today is very big. I think that's Paul's biggest catch yet. Should make upwards of $10,000. I can't help but envy Dave here. Why can't this happen to you? After pulling the fish out, it looks really big. It's only 106 inches. But the weight of fish is very fat. The fatter the fish, the more expensive it is. There have been several fish this size this season, but the weight difference is huge. After the internal organs are cleaned out, the fish weighs only 495 pounds. Kind of a nice big fish. The core of the fish is good too, but the buyer offered only $13 a pound. The fish earned $6,357. Paul even got a deal on that price. If I just stuffed it in his mouth like it was a dog. Such a fat fish is only $13 per unit. What other surprises do the contestants have in store for us next? Look forward to an update in the next video. It's the most lucrative job I've ever seen in the world. After a tuna is pulled on board, although it's only 2 or 3 meters long, but it can sell for more than $10,000. If you catch an average of one fish a day, easily making millions a month. Do you want to do this kind of work? Just after 2 o'clock this morning, Jack took the boat out and went fishing. They caught a big fish yesterday morning. It's basically the morning off. That's why I got up so early today. In all the teams, Jack's team has the lowest cost. The harvest is now at a moderate level. They make a lot of money for the price. Out fishing so early today. Probably the first team to catch a tuna. It was a little after 4 o'clock in the morning. They came to the fishing spot, dropped the anchor into the water. The team was fishing for some mackerel as bait. Bait for tuna doesn't cost anything. Mackerel is tuna's favorite food. Time passed quickly. Dave and Paul started fishing nearby, too. They went from bitter rivals to a partnership. Tuna hooks are as thick as nails, as long as the line is strong enough. I'm sure I can catch it. Paul blackened the hook. It's a good way to hide it. The next thing is to wait for the tuna to bite. Soon the probe beeped. There's a tuna on Paul's side. The next second, the rod is yanked. The tuna is officially hooked. The tuna is very strong at this time. You have to wait for it to wear out before you reel it in. The wind and waves are rough today. The fish pulls very hard under the water. Wait until the line doesn't respond. Teammates began to reel in the line slowly. Just pull the fish to the surface. I'm going to get this fish. Soon the fish was pulled to the surface due to exhaustion. Paul attacked with a harpoon. They have caught 9 fish. Today is another day of victory. After pulling the fish out, this fish is only 80 inches. It's just a little fish on the head. Dave sent a congratulatory message. 2 people after a humble and fake greeting. Paul went back to selling fish. Tyler found Marcia. He wants to work with Paul and Dave. Jointly maintain a fishing spot. OTT took over Taylor's old fishing spot. It made him very angry. So he's looking for Marcia as a partner. Maintain a fishing spot together. When Marcia heard about the new fishing spot, Taylor's demands were immediately echoed. Dave and his crew used 3 fishing rods to fish. Each one has a different depth, but they're using dead fish bait. Fishing with dead fish. I wonder if you get diarrhea after tuna. Jack's coming from the detector. There are 2 tuna fish nearby. Today is a lucky day. The fishing rod was quickly pulled. Just wanted to go to the pole. The other one responded again. 2 tuna took the bait at once. This big scene on a boat. This is the first time I've seen it. If we can catch these 2 fish today, then just lie down for the month. The 2 were busy before and after. 2 fish to lose 1, they still have 1. So don't get too nervous at all. To make sure you make money, they had to fish 1 line after another. When we pull the fish up, direct harpoon attack. You thought there were no surprises. An accident happened. The rope of the harpoon is intertwined with the fishing line. This is not a time to pull blindly. Jack quickly set off in the direction of the boat. If you can't catch it, I would literally laugh myself to death. Fortunately, they managed to catch a tuna by accident. Every time someone else serves fish, there's a girl team. Because usually they don't catch any fish. I had to give you a shot of congratulations. After they pulled the fish out, I realized the fish was huge. This fish is 111 inches. It's a pretty big fish, but they caught only one of the 2 fish. This is more or less a loss. Paul was the first to return to port. This is a small tuna that many restaurants will love. This fish weighs 181 pounds. It's probably the smallest tuna ever. This fish doesn't have any fat. You can't charge a premium for a good core. The buyer offered only $15 a pound. They raked in $2,715. Next up is Jack's team selling fish. The fish they caught today was bigger. The fish weighed 597 pounds. It's a very big tuna. This fish should be fat. This fish is the biggest tuna Jack has caught so far. There is not much fat in fish. The core is SOSO. The buyer offered only $17 a pound. They made $10,149 this time. The fish gave Jack a great deal of confidence. Another day has passed. Today, Marcia prepares for pre-Maine fishing. He and Tyler have a sense of alliance. Tyler's been fishing in Maine his whole life. But OTT took his spot. That's why I was forced to work with Marcia. They waited until after 8 o'clock in the afternoon. Looks like we're going to spend the night at sea. The The girls are night fishing here too. A few weeks into the fishing season. They've only caught 2 fish now. It's the worst group yet. I don't even catch enough fish to cover the cost. The wind and waves are stronger now. I don't know if we're going to get anything tonight. Girls are pretty, but the luck was terrible. The weather is bad now. It was still raining lightly. They changed the bait from time to time. Soon there was a sound from the probe. They immediately crouched in front of the fishing rod and waited. Next thing you know, the fishing rod is pulling. After all this waiting, a tuna finally arrives. This fish looks big. When they were about to use the harpoon, I can't believe it decoupled. This is so embarrassing, I'm gonna pee. I finally understand why they never catch a fish. It's probably just bad technology. Now I can't even say another word. I'm afraid blood will spill if I open my mouth. Act like you're busy. Actually, nothing happened at all. The blonde was guarding this fishing rod without a hook. I really want to cry, but the photographer kept looking. Just get out of the way and wipe your snot. Cook and his crew are night fishing too. The tuna fishing season is short. We have to catch up on fishing. After all, this is their most profitable season of the year. OTT and his men have been waiting at sea. Fish like to bite in the morning. This fishing is like winning the lottery. Cook's loan pressure is very high, trying to catch more fish to pay off. It was not quite light yet. That's when the probe started ringing. Soon the tuna began to eat breakfast. Cook's team fish again. But it's not always the tuna that takes the bait. It could be a shark, an experienced angler. You can tell if it's tuna by the tug. The fish was wandering about under the water. Looks like he's in a hurry to get home to mom. The fish fished from night to dawn. Cook guessed it was a big fish. I'm tired of hearing this bullshit. I say that every time. The result is that every time you catch a small fish. Cook can't wait. Just throw the harpoon at 10 kilometers per second. They succeeded in catching a tuna. I caught a fish yesterday. I caught another one today. The fish caught it before dawn until noon. The tuna is only 95 inches in size. It's so good to fly one a day. Taylor's been waiting. He stared at the detector. Suddenly, the fishing rod is pulled. It was such a sudden surprise. The fishing line was torn for hours. That's a lot of physical strength. It went on for hours. Sister just started to reel in. There's a fishing boat passing ahead. Tyler quickly told them to go away. Tuna is rare. If you're scared off by the other ship, it would be very bad indeed. My sister kept retracting. I thought we were about to get out of the water. I didn't expect the tuna to start pulling hard again. Just keep waiting for the tuna to burn out. Marcia always leaves at dawn. When he came here, Tyler's already served the fish. The early bird catches the worm. Taylor's side has been working on it. This fish has too much energy. The sister began to lose control of it. After dozens of minutes of struggle, the fish was finally pulled to the surface. Tyler hits when he sees an opportunity. It's a big one, even if it's a fork. This tuna is still strong, but the Taylors finally got the hang of it. Will this fish surprise them? When the fish are pulled into the boat, the fish is only 103 inches in size, but his body looks very fat. It's another day to leave work early. Marcia's just starting the bait, although he came late, but they still believe in fishing. Marcia saw 2 fish on the probe, but they're all deep. Soon the rod began to be pulled. They just got here. Is the fish on so soon? That's a lot of luck. 3 men take turns to reel in a fishing rod. Everyone's had an addiction. The nearby ships are very close. It's easy to get tangled up in each other's line. When you pull the fish closer, we have to bleed it right away. Taylor's keeping an eye on Marcia. Today is the first time they've worked together, and they all serve fish. Marcia thought she'd found a treasure because Tyler shared it with him. It's no different than giving money, you know. People in the neighborhood were watching him fishing. If we decouple at this point, that would make hundreds of people laugh. This fish is crazy underwater. I think he was scared silly. After Marcia threw the harpoon, this tuna is destined to be sashimi. When they catch the fish, Tyler brought the boat in. The two decided to go back to the harbor to fish together. This fish is only 97 inches in size. It's bigger than they thought. It's only been an hour. It's back to selling fish. If you come fishing for tuna, I catch a few fish a month. Enough money for you to make in a year. OTT saw Tyler working with Marcia. It made him very jealous. Dave, they waited at sea all morning. Everyone wants to be next in line. You think about everything when you're bored. Just don't want to work. Cook's team was the first to return to the port to sell fish. They caught some good fish today, too. It weighs 364 pounds. The size is perfect. The fish is bright red and has plenty of fat. Then the price will be very good. The buyer offered $22 per pound. They raked in $8,000. One fish a day, $8,000 a fish. It's too easy to make money. Marcia and Tyler, they also returned to port. Both fish were caught in the same place. About the same size. Marcia's fish are only 360 pounds. Taylor's tuna weighed 453 pounds. Looks like Tyler's fish are fatter. Marcia doesn't have much fat in its fish. The core looks a little blurry. It could have been mishandled when the tuna bled to cool down. In the end, the buyer offered only $15 a pound for the fish. They made only $5,400. On Tyler's side, it's a different story. Their fish is rich in fat, and the core looks tender. This fish core is almost perfect. The buyer offered $23 a pound. They raked in $10,419. That's really good luck. It was a little after 6 in the afternoon. Jack and his men waited at sea for a day. They sold a fish yesterday for $10,000. We're back at sea before we spend it today. A tuna comes here. Jack is waiting very anxiously. Again, good fortune favored them. Fishing with the lowest equipped boats. Gain a lot. It's not dark yet. If I can catch it. It's not too late to go home and have a late night snack. When fishing, you need to adjust the boat according to the direction of the fish. The fish moves forward and the boat has to move forward. The process is both intense and exciting. The tuna is not far ahead. They lasted more than an hour. But the tuna has no intention of stopping until more than 2 hours later. They haven't caught the fish yet. This is just too much work. Jack made a series of attacks with the harpoon. I couldn't get it back together. This fish is like a chicken's blood. In the end, the energy was exhausted. They were no longer in a happy mood when they caught a fish. Now I just want to get back to selling fish. This fish is very fat. It's 112 inches long. If I'm right, this fish is going to sell for over $10,000. It looks pretty big already. It weighs a whopping 573 pounds. It's a very nice fish. Fish doesn't have much fat in it. The core doesn't look so good, does it? In the end, the buyer offered only $14 per unit. A little over $8,000 a day is fine. So what else do they have in store for us next? Look forward to an update in the next video.